this video, we're gonna go through the 10 biggest mistakes that I see new content creators making that is holding them back from seeing the growth that they want on YouTube. So get your pencils or your pens ready to go to take some notes. Mistake number 1 is jumping onto YouTube without putting any thought into the foundation of your channel. And I call it the 3 W's. Who are you creating content for? Why are you creating content? And what are you creating? You want to ask yourself those 3 questions when you're first starting out your channel. That is going to basically be creating the foundation of your channel that you can refer back to whenever you're trying to make decisions about what content to create. Because if you don't actually put thought into who you're creating content for, what you're creating content about, and why you're even doing this in the first place, then your channel won't have a pulse or a heartbeat behind it. It'll just be willy-nilly content thrown against the wall. So if you think about those 3 things, the 3 W's, then it becomes so much easier to create content down the line, because now you have a framework in order to make decisions based off of. Mistake number 2 is filming in poor lighting. This is especially bad if you have some kind of channel related to beauty or skincare and people really want to be able to see what you're talking about, or even fashion, right? Or any type of demonstration where you're showing something. You don't want to be filming in poor light. And it's a simple fix. Just get in front of a window or add some inexpensive lights. But dark lighting is a sure sign of somebody who's an amateur and doesn't really know what they're doing. And the last thing you want when you're spending all this time and energy is to look like an amateur, because people have a lot of choices now on YouTube and you want them to be very excited about and happy about subscribing to your channel, knowing that they're going to get good content moving forward. Mistake number 3 is related to that, and it has to do with your sound. So your sound is incredibly important to the success of your videos and the length of watch time that you end up getting. Because if you have poor sound and people cannot understand what you're saying, you're muffling, or there's a bad echo, then the likelihood of people staying to the end of your videos goes way down. And a huge goal on YouTube is accumulating watch time, getting your viewers to stay on as long as possible. And it's very difficult to do if your sound quality isn't there. So definitely invest in an external mic or a lavalier microphone, or don't film in a room that has a lot of echo to it. So add some carpet. Some people even add rugs to their walls to create that really good environment for sound. Mistake number 4 is not being consistent or prioritizing your YouTube channel. So a lot of people upload onto YouTube, they're all excited, and then all of a sudden they just stop, or they miss an upload, and then they miss another one, but then they upload, and then they upload again, but then they miss another one. You can't do that. You have to be consistent. And that comes from, and I've talked about it many times here on this channel, it comes from prioritizing your YouTube channel, that no matter what, you will always upload on whatever your scheduled date and time is. And that is so crucial for earning the trust of your subscribers, because your subscribers need to know that you will be constantly uploading content, that they're not subscribing to a channel that isn't dedicated to YouTube. How can you expect your viewers to be dedicated to you if you're not even dedicated to your own channel? So it's so important that you maintain that consistency in order for you to see the success that you want. Mistake number 5 is that your titles are thinking too much about the YouTube algorithm and not about the viewer. This is a huge mistake that I see people make when they come and join my course, because it's something that they were taught, that you do need to pay special attention to SEO and include those keywords in your titles, which is true, but you don't want to get so focused on that at the sake of your viewers. So a lot of times I will see people who have all these keywords in their titles and their titles don't really make sense, or they use an online SEO tool and they're great, they're fantastic, I love them, but they almost use it too literally. Like they'll take, oh, this had a great score, so I'm going to use that title. But when looking at it, it's not appealing to a viewer. It might be appealing to an algorithm, but You don't necessarily want to just be appealing to the algorithm. You have to be appealing to the viewer. And a lot of people forget that. You're creating content for two different entities, for your viewer and for the algorithm. And so you need to think about your titles as including components of both of them. Yes, there needs to be some keywords in there, but yes, it also needs to be compelling to a human to get that human to want to click. Mistake number 6 is that you're lacking OCET in your videos. OCET is something I talk a lot about with my clients and with my students. And I also mention it in a free class that I have, an hour-long free class. Definitely check it out if you want to learn a little bit more about this. But it stands for on-camera energy transfer. And the reality is that the camera actually sucks 50% of your energy. So you have to be that much more energetic and passionate about what you're talking about in order for it to get through to the other side, through to the viewer. So many people will hit record without bringing the passion for creating videos to that video. You have to be passionate. You have to be excited about what you're doing, because that energy is going to transfer to the viewer, and the viewer wants to feel that energy. They want to watch people who are passionate and excited about what they're doing. And it doesn't have to be a false sense of enthusiasm. Authenticity on YouTube is key, and I talk about that all the time. But you're on here on YouTube creating content about whatever it is you're creating content for, because obviously you enjoy it. So bring that passion. Even if you're a introvert and you're maybe not a super outgoing or energetic person, that's okay, as long as it's rooted in passion and as long as it's rooted in why you're doing this and the joy that you have for sharing whatever information that you have, for creating content. So you always want to be tapping into that and bring that energy to camera. Number 7 is your videos are boring. One of the best ways to grow on YouTube and to get YouTube to recommend your video on a channel homepage or get recommended on the sidebar or come up in searches is for you to accumulate a lot of watch time on your videos. But in order for you to accumulate watch time, your videos need to be interesting and engaging. And a lot of times when people come to me and they're saying, Erica, why aren't I growing? And I was like, I hate to break it to you, but your videos are kind of boring. You have a lot of really interesting things to say, you have a lot of information, but you just sitting there in front of the camera going on and on and on and on, it's not keeping people's attention. And so you always want to be thinking about, how can I keep people's attention on as long as possible? And you can do that through a variety of things, through bringing in B-roll, through bringing in text on screen, through adding music, bringing some dimension and variety to your videos versus just sitting there and talking in front of a camera. Mistake number 8 is being unoriginal. So many times I see new creators coming onto YouTube and do videos that they think they need to do because other people are doing it. And while that can work in a sense, if you get a sense and see, okay, these videos are doing really well in this niche and I think people really enjoy these videos, and you could take inspiration from that. However, if you are constantly just looking at other creators to help you come up with your own video ideas without adding any of your own original spin or originality to it, then you're not going to be able to stand out in the crowd. You need to always think about what makes you unique and special, what unique abilities you have, knowledge that you have, and bring that to the surface. One of the things I remember from my interview with Hiram a few months ago was that he talked about, for him, what he really focused on as being really original. Yes, he looked at other channels for inspiration, but he always thought about, how can I add my own twist to it? So you always want to be thinking, how can I make this different? How can I add my own twist, my own perspective that my viewers would really want to see? Mistake number 9 has to do with your framing. This is something I don't see talked a lot about, but surprisingly, when I'm working with people, I see this happen time and time again. And it basically sends a message to your viewers or potential subscribers that you're more of an amateur. So I see people all the time where the framing is off, where you are actually, like, I'll go like this, where people's heads are right here, or they're right here, or they're right here. Or the other issue is that they're not looking in the camera. That if they're filming with their iPhone, they're looking like here. and you'll see that they're talking and they're looking there, and that's just all off. You really want to be with your eye line about a third down from the top of the frame, and you have to be looking into the camera when you're talking. That makes a huge difference, because if you're not looking in the camera, then people are like, what are you looking at? What's over there? Like, what are you looking at? Why aren't you looking at me, right? And it's a lot harder to have that connection if the person talking to you just isn't looking right at you. And then same thing with the frame, it just looks a little odd to have a head in there. And I don't see a lot of people talking about that, but I'm telling you, it happens more than you know. And it might be happening to you and you might not even be aware of it. That's why I wanted to bring it up in this video. And number 10 mistake that I see happening time and time again that is holding people back from growth on YouTube is that their thumbnails are way too cluttered. I know there's a lot of information out there about making your thumbnails eye-catching, that they're really important for getting clicks, but then I feel that people overcompensate and then they add everything in the kitchen sink to their thumbnails. They add text, they add a bunch of different words, they add emojis, they add diagrams and pictures, and it just becomes a cluttered mess instead of a very clear image telling the viewer what the video is about. That's the whole purpose of the thumbnail, is to catch the viewer's attention, and within a split second, the viewer knows what the video is about. If it's too cluttered and confusing and the viewer cannot discern within a millisecond, it happens very quickly, what that video is about, they're gonna move on. They're not gonna waste time on it. They're just gonna move on because they're being presented with many, many different thumbnails and different options. So you wanna catch the attention of the viewer by being very, very clear about what the video is about. Well, I hope that was helpful. Those were some 10 quick mistakes that I see time and time again new YouTube creators making that is really affecting their growth. So are you making any of those mistakes? Let me know in the comments. Let's have a conversation about it. I love talking about all things YouTube. And if you want any additional resources, check them out in my description. Like I mentioned, I have my free masterclass. I also have my YouTube bootcamp for women if you're wanting more personalized coaching from me and from other YouTube creators, a community there. Check out the link in the description below and like this video because it really does help out this channel and get this content out there to more and more people. Mwah.